Good day all. In a previous video I had mentioned that I would show you how I solder these small LEDs, and today is that day. And you've seen this before. And I'm going to show you the jig that I made to help solder these. So last month I showed this chart here when we were talking about the LEDs. And the red is what's new. So I stated that the 0201 was the smallest LED you could buy. Well, as of June 2nd, 2025, this one became available. It's only available in 4 colors. And the colors, I think, will limit us to certain applications. I'm not going to bother trying to solder this at this current time, but I might think about it. But they're running about 11 cents a piece, where these are much cheaper, about 4 cents. So we're going to deal with the 0201 and the 04 and 02. Those are the two that we're going to be soldering together. And here you can see what the sizes look like. And if we looked at buying them already pre-wired, you'd be looking at about $1.57 a piece. If you buy the LEDs outright, it's 4 cents. I'm kind of frugal. I'm not a cheapskate, but the amount of things I need are going to be way too much. Every vehicle is going to have at least 4 of these in the car. You got the 2 rear lights and the 2 headlights. So, that will start to add up pretty quickly on a layout, especially in N. The other size, the 0402, you're looking at $1.08 for wiring them, and 2 cents a piece for the LEDs. This is on average. You can probably find them, a little bit cheaper, but not a whole lot. So you can see the footprints here, and I want you to take a look at these 2 figures here. Alright, this one is 8 thousandths between here. This one is actually only 7 thousandths, even though it's bigger. And the reason why I bring this up is because we're going to have to hold the wires that we're going to solder to these by at least this distance. Alright. I am probably going to go, or I will be doing 11 thousandths. So I'm going to do 11 thousandths. And the way I'm going to do that is by using some stainless steel fishing line. It's 11 thousandths in diameter. And the way that's going to happen is I have it right here, is being held with these poultry nails or staples. And then you'll see that the 2 wires, you'll see this is the red coming through, crossing over to this clothespin, and this green one comes over and crosses over here. This is where the power is added, or the ohm meter conductivity is connected here. On the other side is where the reels are of the mag wires, and you can see here, you can see the red coming this way and then come across, and then this one is the green wire coming across. And so now let's take a look at the actual hardware. And this is the jig that I have. Over on this side, I have the mag wire rolled up, goes through these clothespins, and the hole here is drilled at an angle like this. Comes in, so the wire comes across through here, and then it goes between two pieces of brass that I have glued on either side of the paper clip, or the clothespin. And the reason why I do that is because as time goes on and as I start to pull these stuff, it'll start to wear, and then this won't hold tight. And so that's what you have here. These two T-pins are just here to hold the wires a little further away and then come in, so they stay centered here. On the other side, you'll see the wires are running across, come in here, and then go across to this clothespin, and it has the brass wires glued on and soldered. And the same with this side. The brass here. And so what I can do then is I can then plug it into my ohm meter, turn my conductivity on, and then if I come across, you'll get a sound of it going off. And that's going to be useful because that's how we're going to tell if we've got the LED in the right place and if we're connected to the right side. Mag wire, or magnetic wire as it's known, or enamel wire. All three of them are used. And I have bought this at the Amherst train show several years ago. I have not been able to find it online anyplace. So if you can't find the particular size that you're looking for, and I use anywhere from 38 to 41 gauge, which puts it at 6,000 to 4,000, a little more than 4 thousandths in diameter of an inch. And that's the size that I'm using for the 0201 and the 0402 LEDs. You could use smaller, but you got to be careful with your amperage requirements and things like that. But I'm in this range right here. If for some reason you can't find it, you can't buy it, you can always try to take a transformer apart. And when you take a transformer apart, you get in there, you'll find 2 spools of wire. It's going to be lucky if you can find one that has the very thin wire like this in it, which would be falling anywhere between this range here. There's quite a bit of heavier wire, which is on the AC, higher AC side. Then this is the lower voltage brought down. It's on the negative, or it's on the smaller side. You can always take this and then take a Sharpie permanent magic marker and then just color one side so that you know which side is going to be your negative and which one is your positive. Otherwise, you could have issues when you go to put it in there. This is a visual. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it, but I prefer doing it that way so I know where I am. So you can see that I've already put the mag wire or the enamel wire onto little bobbins, and you can get these at the sewing store. I bought 4 of these for $1.50 or so. So that works out real well, because when you take it off of here, or this is not bad to use, but other places they've got different types of way of wrapping them, or a bigger spool, something like this size, which is quite big. You don't want to be using that. You want to get it smaller. So that's what I've done here. And so with that, we're going to start going through, and I'm going to wire this up. And what I've got here is I've taken an old clothespin, and I did some modifications on it where I took it apart and I sandwiched in between here some aluminum. And the reason why I use aluminum is if I get close with the soldering iron, I don't want the soldering iron to, have solder adhere to it, and aluminum will not adhere to it. So that's what I've got here. And this is 3 longer pieces and then 2 shorter pieces. And so what it does is it gives me a long piece, then a short piece here, and then another long piece, and then a short piece and another long piece. And then wires can sit here with a spacing, and roughly the spacing is going to be about a 10,000th of an inch, so it falls right nicely over on either side of the LED. And that's what I'm doing here. So I'm going to start by wiring this up, and what I do is, since I have done, I'm going to change the angle so you can watch a little bit better here. So I'm going to take the red and then run it through, and I have to get through the hole here. Once I've done that, I have always leave it in there, but I just wanted to show you where I was going with this. It's going to take a little bit of time here. I might have to speed up this. And let's see, did I get it? And it comes through. Come on this side. Pull out quite a bit. Now I'm going to come across and go high. So I'm on this side of the red line. Pull that across here. And then at the other end, I go across, go in the same side there, and then, oops, got away from me. Come in this way, come across, and to the positive side here. And then I connect it. So, sorry, my big hands are in the way. So, again, I just slide it, put it in there. That side has already been tinned, and that's what you want there. And so then I can then come back to the other side here, pull this one through, and get it in there. Sure I can. And come across all the way down. And now I'll come in on the lower side of this. And across. Now I come across here. Grab it. Get a little more slack. And put that there. So now that I've got the wire running through there, just slip this over to this side, because this is the side that I normally work from here. And so what I'm going to do is just slide a little white in here so that you can see the wires a little easier. Okay, and so these sides, I don't want to touch these anymore, because the minute you do that, then everything loosens up. But in some cases, and you know what, and there are 2 ways of separating these wires. There are actually 3 ways. One, I just let it go as is. Another one is I use this little option here, or I have this that also will help separate the wires. So I'm going to do it without separating the wires here just for a moment. So I'll push down on the green, rewind the bobbin for the green, and pull it tight. Then I do the red side, pull that tight. Now when you look, you'll be able to see, and I'm going to bring this thing down so that you can see this. Let's see if it's getting anything. You see a little bit of a shadow there, unfortunately, and there you go. So you can, I still get that shadow. Let's try it this way. And there you can see the two wires with also the shadow. The shadow is up high. But you can see that they are two separated right there. And then ideally, if I get this right, I have to hold this. I will take, and I've already put an LED on this. When I slide this underneath, you'll be able to see that you can line up everything. We're going to go through this again in a moment, but I just wanted to show you that. So that's one way. Another way is just to slide this underneath and then drop the wires right into the particular slot. And then try the next one here. And this will hold them separate. And I can then move this up and down. And that works also. And then the other one is I actually have to go back and restring it through here, because what happens is the wires will run along this path and then come through here and then out. So I have to actually string this in line with it. Where this comes in handy is when I've got the wires, I can then put this right onto the tape, and it'll hold it right down there, and then I don't have to use my finger. It'll hold it, and then I can solder that way. And so I'm going to do one way and one the other way, just so that you guys can see the ease of the way one will work versus the other. This process here takes a little bit of work, and then you have to worry about keeping it, the wires within it, but that's not so bad. And if you keep it this side over the entire, if you keep it over here towards the bobbin, then when you cut the wires from the LED, this will stay threaded, and then you just thread this lower section here. So we're going to go and load up these what I call popsicle sticks, or tongue depressors. All right, and what I've done is basically taken some painter's tape, and I've used the painter's tape, and the blue painter's tape is facing upwards, and then the orange painter's tape is down lower. And I did this to just separate, because the LEDs are pretty much white, and so you'll be able to see them a little easier. And the orange is just to show you where the sticking is and not. When you have two of the same colors, it can get a little difficult to figure out what's going on. So, I'm going to show you how I load this up, and then we will do some soldering. So the LEDs come in this type of a package, and pull this out here, show you. And you get a long string depending on how many you buy. And you'll see this is the back side, and then you'll see, if you look real carefully, you'll see all the little LEDs in there. And what you do is you peel the covering off of it, and if you notice, that's where it stops right there. So what I'm going to do is just hold this over the tape facing upwards, and I just peel back just one unit and then drop it on. And if you look, you might see it. Oops. And there it is. And what I need to do is just turn it over Would not advise grabbing them, but just using that to turn things. I'm sorry about that noise. And so what I do is just very carefully rotate it. And so the lengthwise is going the same way as the piece of wood. Now, if you look and I'm not sure if you're going to see it, it's very difficult to see which side is which. All right, and we just dropped an 0402 onto here. We're going to now drop a 0201, and so that will grab the other one. And we'll see if we can show you this one also going through. And again, same routine. You can see how much closer these are in relationship to the other one. So you can start to see the size difference. So we take, and I'm going to grab the plastic, just slowly peel it back just ever so slightly, right over the tape, and it just fell in. And you can probably see that on the camera. Now all I need to do is move it. And there we are. And you might be able to see there's a little green line there. Not all of the 0201s even have green. Even this 0402 doesn't have any green indication on it, but it does have the soldering pad itself has a different shape to it, but you can't really see it here. And so that's the reason why we're using the ohm meter. So when I tin the enamel and I remove the enamel wire, you'll be able then to drop the wires onto this, and if it lights up, you know you've got the right configuration. If not, you have to spin this around to get that. And we'll do that in a minute. Now let's talk about soldering irons for a minute. What you're seeing here is what I used to use. It was good, but the problem with this one was it took about 5 minutes to get all the way up to heat. And then when I wanted to get it hot enough so I could melt the enamel off the wire, it gets super hot, but then I had to turn it down to solder the LEDs because I didn't want to blow out the LEDs. So this thing took a while to get it to go up to temperature and then back down to a lower temperature. And just a few weeks ago, it's maybe about a month ago, I wound up buying this one here. And this one, when I turn it on, you'll see it comes on. I have to turn this, there it is, it's powering up, and it goes to 200. Now, I can pull this out, and then it'll start to climb to 230, 240, whatever I have it set to. But watch this, look at the temperature. As I move this up, I'm up to 450. And watch how fast this thing will start to take off. I'm at 450 degrees already. And if you just notice the stuff come down. And then I can just come back down here and 229, and you see it just drop. That is really helpful, especially when I'm trying to take off the enamel back and forth. The tip I'm using is like a little chisel knife type of thing. Actually works out pretty good. I was using this one first, which is a real nice fine point, but I found the chisel point was actually working better. So that's where I'm going with this. So to do this, I take and figure out roughly how long I want my wires. All right, and this is, each one of this is an inch. You know, you can use any kind of increment you want and what you're trying to do. So I'm thinking somewhere's around here. So first thing I do is I'll take and I'll just put a little piece underneath here, and I'm going to put some flux here. All right, this way I've got something there that I'm going to bring up the heat. That's about 420. And there we are. And then what I do is I just come in here and just move this back and forth. And if I actually turn on if I put this ohm meter on, which I should have done earlier, you'll actually hear it the minute the solder goes through. So there we go. So it's just already going through and it's actually joining it. And you don't want that. So you just separate it a little bit. And there you are. Now I like to come in and go back a little bit because that will be tinning for the next section. So I got to come back here, separate it. Okay. Yep. Get rid of some of the solder. All right. Put that in there, drop my temperature. All right, here's my LED. I'm going to slide this in here. And now I'm going to bring you down so you can watch. Let's see what happens here. Hopefully my hand doesn't get in the way. So when I drop this down, does it light? And it's not lighting. So let's try it the other direction. And there you saw it. See it? Now I'm lit. And you probably didn't... Got to double check to see if it shows up on the monitor. But for me, I could see it light up. There it is. And it's not showing up, it looks like. Turn off this light here. Oh. Nope, I need to turn it off here. Turn this light off here. And turn this light off. Hopefully now you can see it when I get it. See? And that's what we're looking for. Now I'm going to turn the lights back on so I can see what I'm doing. But that's the idea of running with the ohm meter, so that I can actually see if it's working or not. All right? Now, before I go to do this, I want to clean the carbon off of this. And the way you're going to find this is if you don't do this and clean it off, because all it is just the enamel carbon that builds up on this, and when you go to solder it, you'll get a decent solder, but you won't get anything because the carbon is acting as the resistor, so the light doesn't go on. In some cases, you'll actually get so much carbon there that it'll actually sound conductivity. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take this little paintbrush, slide this underneath here, and I take acetone. Other people like to use alcohol, but I have not had that good success with alcohol. Acetone seems to work a lot better for me. So that's what I'm doing. Now, there's plenty of YouTube things on showing you how to solder, and I'm not trying to explain how to solder. I just show you what I'm doing to make it work. There are people who do this for a profession who are much better at this than I am. But I just wanted to give you an idea what's there. All right, so that's there. Now, take my LED. Line it up very carefully. Nope, you know what, I forgot. Put a little flux on there. Just a little bit. There we are. Now I take my iron, soldering iron, and I just touch the wires. Let go. And off it goes. And you should be able to see that lit. Let me slide a little piece of thing in there and see if you see that reflection. See the glow? It is lit. Now, before I do anything else, and this is where I've gotten myself into trouble before, is, oh, I said, okay, this is good. And then I start to put the UV glue onto it, or resin, to just put a little more strength to the back of this. And then all of a sudden it starts to not work. And again, the reason is because that carbon is still there. So I want to come back and clean this up a little bit. And I lost my, there it is. I'll just use this one. So I'll just come back and clear this. Make sure there's no carbon there. All nice and clean. And this will actually affect you more with the 02, 01s. The 04, 02 LEDs don't seem to do this as much. So this is the UV glue that I'm using. And I just take a little tiny dab of it and just, bring it back down again so that you can see this. And I take a little dab and I just touch. And basically this helps to insulate the wires in this direction towards the power. And with this, I don't get it a short or anything. So now, and I just hit it with the UV light and let that go for a few moments. And now that's done. Now what I'll do is I'm going to bring it back up and out of here. I'll take and I'm going to loosen up the wires from this side over where the bobbins are. Loosen this up a bit just by pressing down on two clothespins. Loosen this up. This will let me then take the wires, pull them through a little bit. I then grab the wires and I flip this around and I've got it like that. Now I take and now I have my LED wired. And now you can see this. Let's do it this way and see if we can get a little bit better. And so it's been wired. And now I can then use this in a project. I tend to use at least 1K or even more on this, and I think that some of these I've been using 6K resistors on these, because the fact is that the LEDs are way too bright, especially for the scale that I'm working on. I'm working in N. So I tend to make sure that they come down much further. A lot of people just go with the regular Ohm's law when it comes to figuring out what the resistor is, and it's just way too bright. And the other thing is when you do it in a lower, or you put the higher ohms in there, it actually will last longer. So that's the thing. So now let's go and try this again, but this time I'm going to use the little support thing. And here it is. So I'll put that down here, open up here, and if I get my head in the way, I'm sorry. It's just, so this is the red, And I'm just going to pull this out of the way. And all I have to do now is to slide the red in there, come across, and of course I'm using the red as positive for this. Realistically, if I had a blue, I would use blue, because that way that would match all the decoders, you know, the standard for the positive side. But because I'm not, or because I wasn't able to find the blue wire, I'm using red. Because I could have used the other, I could have used the red to indicate it was a red LED versus a brass for just a regular white wire. But so be it. So now I just take this wire and run it through and grab it. And you can see this is where most of your time is, trying to take and line this all up. You know. Yes. Oops, I did that wrong. I put the red on the wrong side. Oh, I did that right. I just did the green the wrong side. So as I do this, goes the green. Double check to see if it really did go where it was supposed to. Nope. Okay. And now come up here, down, and in. Tighten up the green. Green is tight. And tighten up the red. Okay, the red is tightened. Now, again, a little bit of flux. We're going to go about here. And bring this up to temperature. Just a little bit. And okay. Okay, there's that. Put this down. And see if this is going to work. But it's not seeing it. Got a little too much solder on that wire. Let's see if I can get rid of some of it. Acetone, because I see the carbon already on there. just flipped it over because it wasn't getting the power it needed, or the light wasn't showing. There it is. This is the direction I need to be in. It's just getting it right there. Ah, come on. The red wire is slipping. And as you can see, this one is going to take a little more work. It's not as easy. But when it does line up, it goes nicely. Yep, I gotta take a break for a second. Okay, I've got this thing restrung. Now we're going to do this again. We're going to do another 0201. And so, let's slide this back a little here. And we're going to little flux. Let's keep them separated. More than what the little divider does. So, little solder. Temperature up. And so that went off. So I got that done. Now let's get a little cleaning. Clean up. And now let's get this lined up underneath. Tighten that up. Okay, I've got it all rewired now, and let's now put a little flux. Let's come on. All right. So that's separated now. Let's clean this. That's cleaned. Let's get the LED underneath it and let's see how we do here. Doesn't look like that's the right side. Let's try it. There it is. Lined it up, holding it, and that should be it. Nope. Missed it. Let's make sure we get a little more flux there. Nope. Come on. Here we are. That's that. Peel it away. Let's clean it. But as you see, it just went out. So we're going to try to clean it. See how that went? Did you guys notice that? I didn't have it up high. But it went out after I had got it all soldered up. And it's because the carbon, it cooled down, the carbon was there. And so hopefully I got that so that you guys can see. That's the whole idea of making sure you clean this thing again. Now, once that's done, and we'll put a little bit of UV light on it, or UV blue. And this should be it. So, if you got any questions, please email me. Hopefully I've got this all arranged right. And the next video I'll show you how I make some other little street lights, and actually the freight yard lights will come in next. And those, I'm using a little jewel to diffract the light, and that works pretty interesting. And the one after that will be actually some Arduino work, where I'll show you how, or what I use to code and how the codes run. If any of you guys know where I can deposit these codes so that you can pick them up, please let me know in the email or in the comments below, because I'm still trying to figure out where I can do that. And I also am looking for a website, somebody who will host a free website, because I don't want to pay for it. I'm not trying to make money, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of money on a website. All right, thank you, and have a good day. Bye.